In this video I have a trinomial where a is equal to 1. I'm going to factor it using the shortcut method. But then I'm going to compare that method to factoring by grouping and the box method as well. So for the shortcut, the very first thing I'm going to do is take the last term, which is a negative 48. I'm going to write it off to the side here. I'm going to think of all the factors of negative 48. So 1 times 48 is 48, 2 times 24 is 48 as well, but this is a negative, so we have to make one of these numbers in each of the pairs a negative number. Something else to consider is that these pairs have to also add up to be a positive 8. So we have to figure out which one of those pairs does that. Now, since it's a positive number, we want that negative number to be the smaller one, because by making the bigger number positive, that means I'm going to end up with a positive answer when I add them all together. So there we go. All the smaller numbers are negative. Now I'm going to proceed to add all of these together. And there we go. A negative 4 plus 12 equals 8. And that's what we wanted. So I'm going to circle these, and I'm going to write my factors. What I do is write parentheses with an x, close parentheses, another parentheses with an x, and then close parentheses. And then the two numbers that I pick, just follow the x's. So I had a negative 4 there, that means I make this a minus 4. I had a positive 12, so I make this a plus 12. And these are the two binomial factors of this trinomial. So now let's compare this to factoring by grouping. The first step when we do factoring by grouping is we take the ax squared term, which is x squared here, and we multiply that by the negative 48. That gives us a negative 48x squared. And then we'd proceed to list all the factors of this term right here and figure out which one of them would add up to be a positive 8x. We already did all the hard work up here, so I'm just going to skip to negative 4 and 12. So again, I'm going to circle these, and I'm going to rewrite my trinomial. I have an x squared. Then comes my first number here. So I have a minus 4x plus 12x minus 48. So all I really did was take this 8x and then replace it with these two numbers here, which also equal 8x. Now comes the grouping part. So I'm going to group these first two terms, and I'm going to group these last two terms. I'm going to find the greatest common factor of both of them. The GCF between these two, x squared and minus 4x, is just an x. I'm going to be left with an x minus 4. The greatest common factor between these two terms, 12x minus 48, is a positive 12. And I'm going to be left with a x minus 4. Okay, now my last step is just to kind of, well, I like putting everything in parentheses, but the common binomial that I have is an x minus 4. I'm going to put that in front. And then my leftover would be an x plus 12. And that's going to be my other binomial. So there's my two binomial factors, just like I did with my shortcut. Okay, now the box method. This is going to be the last method. And the box method is really similar to factoring by grouping. It's just that we use a box to organize everything that we do. So the very first thing I'm going to do with the box method is draw my box, of course, but then add in my x squared or my ax squared term in the top left box. And then my c term, which is the last one, it's the constant, is that negative 48. That goes in the bottom right-hand corner. So just like factoring by grouping, my next step would be to take the first term and the last term. In this case, it was x squared and 48, or negative 48. I multiply them together, I get a negative 48x squared, and again I find all the factors of that term. And I have to figure out the factors that add up to be that middle linear term. In this case, it was an 8x. We already found those to be a negative 4x and a 12x, so I'm going to put these in the two boxes. And it doesn't matter which one we put where. Okay, I could have put my negative 4x up here and my 12x down here. We would have gotten the same answers. From here, I'm going to take the greatest common factor of this row right here between my x squared and my 12x. That's going to be just an x. And then I take my greatest common factor of the bottom row from the negative 4x and a negative 48. That GCF is a 4, and we're going to make it negative because this term right here is negative. This term right here is positive, so we kept that x positive. And I'm going to find the greatest common factor of both of the columns to give me an x plus 12, and then I'm left with an x minus 4 followed by an x plus 12 as my second binomial, which matches everything else we did here. Now, if you really want to go crazy, check your work. You could erase everything that's in the boxes except your factors on the edges, and you could distribute using the box method. So you're kind of working backwards. So x times x is x squared. 12 times x is 12x. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. And 12 times negative 4 is negative 48. From here I combine all my like terms. My x squared stays in front. The 12x and negative 4x are linear terms. They combine to be my 8x. And then I'm left with a minus 48 at the end, which matches my original trinomial.